The story is off to a strong start with our protagonist, Seo Jang-yoon, kissing someone, a dark-haired guy who is just as passionate about the kissing as he was. But as Jang-yoon opens his eyes, it was clear that it was obviously a dream. He has had this dream ever since high school and up until his first year of college. The other person in the dream was Kang Chae-hoon, who is Jang-yoon's high school classmate, college schoolmate, and longtime crush. They were classmates for all the 3 years in high school. Jang-yoon remembers that Chae-hyun has always been the popular kid in high school and even in college too. He was tall and has nice, defined features. But despite their history and Chae-hoon's personality towards other people, he seems to treat Jang-yoon coldly. Jang-yoon never figured out why Chae-hoon is indifferent towards him. Today, Chae-hoon offered to pay for their group of friends' lunch. As he does this often, Jang-yoon is amazed how none of the guys ever thinks of Chae-hoon as a pushover but instead seems to respect him even more. Jang-yoon chooses his lunch and walks over to Chae-hoon to give his payment even though he offered to pay for everyone. This caught Chae-hoon off guard and later seems to be upset about it.
I bet he wanted to pay for hubby's lunch.
During lunch, he was pressured by Minsu, his best friend, to hurry eating. Jang-yoon looks over to Chae-hoon, who is also a slow eater, but no one tells him off. Jang-yoon observes his crush as he chews his food elegantly. Jang-yoon blushes as he thought that no one should look that cute while eating. Jang-yoon ponders on how playful fate can be and how it works in mysterious ways. Because he would always end up in the same group with Chae-hyun and he would always be there wherever he looked, which made it harder for him to get over his crush. What truly amazed Jang-yoon is how they've known each other for years and still be so awkward. After a few days, Minsu comes to Jang-yoon to persuade him to join the farm volunteering program. Jang-yoon didn't want to go because it was in the middle of the semester. But Minsu was determined to persuade Jang-yoon because the hottest girl in the department, Mihi, was going. And since Jang-yoon is close with Mihi, Minsu wanted to get close to Mihi through him. Jang-yoon asked who else was coming, thinking that he'll go if Chae-hoon is coming. But he didn't hear Chae-hoon's name, so he declined. Minsu then proposed that he'll give Jang-yoon a valuable asset in the game just so he comes. This caught Jang-yoon's attention and he gleefully agreed to join. The night before the volunteer program, we see Jang-yoon drinking with Mihi. Apparently, Mihi broke up with her boyfriend because he cheated on her. She was complaining and ranting about it to Jang-yoon, who quietly listened. After rambling so much, Mihi wonders on why it's so hard to find a good boyfriend. Jang-yoon kindly consoles his friend and tells her it wasn't her fault her boyfriend cheated on her. He also tells her that she should cry as much as she wanted that night, but tomorrow they'll do their best to pick apples. The next day, Jang-yoon overslept because of drinking so much the night before. He got an earful from Minsu because he was gonna miss the bus that was gonna take them to the orchard. Minsu then suggested that he ride with Chae-hoon since the latter decided to drive. He didn't expect Chae-hoon to change his mind from going but asked Minsu for his number anyway. When Jang-yoon called, Chae-hoon immediately answered, which shocked Jang-yoon. Jang-yoon rambled on about his situation and asked if it was alright to go with Chae-hoon to the orchard. Chae-hoon agrees and they decided to meet at around 6 p.m. Jang-yoon goes down their apartment building 20 minutes earlier because he didn't want to make Chae-hoon wait for him. To Jang-yoon's surprise, Chae-hoon was already at their meeting spot smoking cigarette. Jang-yoon admired how good Chae-hoon looks and thought that he somehow looks like a different person today. After seeing Jang-yoon, Chae-hoon quickly put out his cigarette and put hand sanitizer in order not to smell like cigarettes. He led Jang-yoon to his car while the latter was left thinking that they have known each other for years, but he had no idea that Chae-hoon smoked. For years of being awkward with one another, they didn't have the chance to know more about each other at all. The whole ride was awfully quiet because the two barely talked to one another. Their love story is kind of a slow burn and it made me curious on just why and how they got so awkward. Because of the silence, it made Jang-yoon think about the past. A few years back, when Chae-hoon has just transferred high school, he has already caught Jang-yoon's attention on the first day. Jang-yoon kept mindlessly staring at Chae-hoon, curious about the transferee. Chae-hoon felt his stare and when he turned his head, he smiled brightly at Jang-yoon. Jang-yoon thinks that it might have been at that time that he fell for Chae-hoon. Chae-hoon became the class president and was popular, basically becoming the model student, but he never went out with his classmates and he and Jang-yoon never talked. They were just normal classmates until 3 months later when Chae-hoon approached him. Chae-hoon told Jang-yoon that they were on class duty that week. Jang-yoon told Chae-hoon that he doesn't need to come to class early as he can take care of opening the classroom and cleaning. Jang-yoon stood by what he said and was even shocked at how determined he was to clean for the both of them. When Chae-hoon arrived, he felt sorry for making him do all the work. The latter expressed that compared to what he has to do as the class president, cleaning was nothing. Chae-hoon seems to be touched by this and smiles at Jang-yoon's kindness. He says thank you to Jang-yoon, and I bet he felt happy and fell even harder for his crush that time. After that day, Chae-hoon comes to school early to help Jang-yoon and they spent their mornings alone together. No one can convince me there's nothing going on here. I wish the reason for their fallout is not disappointing. Back to the present, they decided to stop by some place to eat dinner. Before Chae-hoon could pay, Jang-yoon offered he'd do it. Since he's the one driving, it's the least he could do. After ordering, they sit awkwardly on the table. Before Jang-yoon could open his phone, Chae-hoon asked him directly if he was making him uncomfortable. Jang-yoon was shocked and didn't know what to answer. Look forward for part 2. Thank you.